Hey everyone, Eggman here with another video, and today we've got a top 16 breakdown for the Carta Niagara Regionals from this past weekend. They had over 100 players, 7 rounds of Swiss best of 1 into this top 16 cut that we see here. So real quick before we get started into this one, if you guys are new to the channel, please make sure to hit that like and subscribe. We make a lot of future world content. It means you guys want to see more in the future. Second, I am on the road right now, so I'm not on the screen right now, and I know that the video and audio quality might be a little bit lower than usual, so I do apologize for that, but I did want to make this as soon as possible so you guys got this information, since this is the first large event for Fusion World on the English version here in North America, so at least with the release of FB06, so I do want to go over this stuff. And then lastly, if you guys want the deck list for this event or many others, you can find them on my website, Eggman Events, which is linked in the description, and you can find that on the screen right now. That's what we're using too. So make sure to check that out if you haven't already, but let's just jump on into it. So starting off on this top 16, we did have 5 copies of Majin Evil, which did end up winning the event as well. 5 copies of Vegeta Mini Daima, 3 copies of Aandroidd 17, 2 Vegeta from FB02, and 1 FB03 Son Goku as well. So nothing, I think, too surprising leader-wise. I think most people would say specifically that Majin Evil, FB03 Goku, and Aandroidd 17 are just 3 of the best decks in this game, right? And have been for a really, really long time. I don't think that's really changed at all. FB02 Vegeta has been, I think, fringe viable, but I think this is finally like the set where there's enough like generic yellow cards that it can really take advantage of the card pool. And then the the Vegeta Mini Daima has really hit the scene. It really went from like one of the worst star deck leaders I think they've ever printed to very viable overnight with a lot of new cards that we got with the release of FB06, which we'll talk about when we look at those decks too. But generally speaking, I think these are just, I would not be surprised to say these are the 5 best decks in the game right now. I think there are some other decks that are fringe viable as well, but it was really surprising to not see any of the new Broly leader from FB06 into this top 16. I know a lot of people are on it. I know it's a very specific deck and can be very powerful, but not seeing it in the top 16 I think was a little bit interesting from my side as well. But we're going to go over the top placing leader for each one of these as well, so you can check out these. If you guys, again, want to see any of these specific lists or go through any others, you can find them, again, on my website, which is linked in the description. And also, there is a live stream for this event, which is on the page, and also you can find linked in the description too if you want to check that out. But let's start off with our first place list, which is BLACKMARIA's version of Majin Evil. And this deck is just really good, right? I think that we're going to look at these deck lists, I'm going to be honest, and half of these are just the decks that we've been seeing do very, very well in FB05, maybe with some minor tweaks and some adjustments, but Majin Evil I think has been very consistent since FB05, and it was pretty good in FB04 too, to be honest, when it released. So big thing with this one is that we're playing just a bunch of 1-drop draw cards. I think the most important card in this deck is the 3-drop Bobbity. The fact that we can get some great advantage, the fact that we get to kind of do like a draw 2, make your opponent discard, draw 1, make your opponent discard 2 is really great, keeping their hand size low, and the hand destruction is kind of unique to this deck as well. The fact that we get a lot of attacks, even if they're just 20Ks against a 20K leader, means your opponent still has to like discard 1 card or answer it, or otherwise they're kind of in trouble. So generally speaking, I think this deck has been like a little bit overtuned for a little bit too long. I think a lot of people have been talking about it too. So we'll see if they end up changing anything. I know a lot of people were expecting like a restriction list at the start of FB06, which didn't happen. And now maybe if they're looking at the meta right now, and honestly, I think it's been moderately clear that the meta is not too different than where we've been in like FB05, but I think Majin Evil is definitely like a target for maybe some adjustments. So, but yeah, not much more to say. I think this is a pretty standard list. You could have told me this list topped in FB05 and I would have believed you. And there's not really that much new things, I think, from Yellow from here. But I do want to say, like, and I'm going to say this outright too, I do know that like it's not like something that you can autopilot a lot of the time. A lot of these players are super fantastic at what they're doing. And then even though like I'm maybe a little bit tired of seeing like a deck list top, or the fact that the deck building for some builds are not as intensive as others, does not mean that the player is not any good, right? I want to say like it's a big accomplishment to get first place with even a deck like Majin Evil, and a big congratulations to BLACKMARIA for their finish with this. But I really don't have much more to say about Majin Evil, I think, right now. So there we go. Next up, we've got FB03 Son Goku, and if I have nothing to say about the Majin Evil, I have less to say about the new Son Goku. And by the new Son Goku, I mean the exact Son Goku that we've been seeing since FB03. So maybe the better way is to say FB04, right? This card is incredibly good, right? It's just the reason that this deck gets played more often. This and Sharpmer, the fact that this is able to let you cheat into a 2 cost for 1. The fact that like you don't even lose this card, right? If this card said like put this card into your trash and then or your drop, and then look at the top card to play the 2 cost. Then maybe this card would be able to balance. But the fact that it's a 1-drop Earthling, which is already great stats, that also is a 1-drop 10k, and just gets you so much cycle, just means that you are so good at being able to establish your 2-drop bodies. And then also Sharpener, same stat line, same everything. And just being able to say, once per turn you get to cheat out an energy, that really starts adding up very, very quickly. And if you have more Sharpeners out, you get to keep doing it. The fact that, looking at this card, right, looking at Great Saiyaman, this card was like, this is probably fair. It's kind of unassuming. But this just gets removal on so many cards. I've seen people be able to remove 9-drop Broly's with this card, usually in conjunction with the Hercule as well. But it's just insane how good this card can be, how just consistent this deck is. The fact that so many cycling of 1-drop Earthlings just gets out of control a little bit. And again, you're seeing no new cards except for the one of the Son Goku Childhood, which I think is just slowly becoming the best double striker for blue in the game right now. The fact that you just get to use something like for this deck specifically, Final Hope Slash twice in one is great, but the fact that there's also like some weird applications is just like the next time. So you can also just like use this card twice, so it becomes a draw 6, place 2 to the top right. So that's just like an insane amount of card advantage if you need that instead. And you just get some great value. Sometimes you can even like use it with Great Saiyaman to get like a double removal on a board if you have a wide board and stuff. But generally speaking, I think this deck is very strong. It's still it's not something that you can just walk in and play efficiently, though. I do think that it does place an emphasis on making sure your hand sizes at 7 or less are sequencing correctly. But it's just a grind to play. It's a really, really grindy deck. And personally, I would be happy if I've never played against this deck again, but I know that's not going to happen, and I'm going to have to get over it for a while. But still, a very, very strong placement, and congratulations to Brandon for their 2nd place with Son Goku here. Next up, we've got Aandroidd 17. I'm actually going to look at 2 different lists because I do think that the deck building for Aandroidd 17 is a little bit flexible right now, which is kind of cool. But obviously, it's been a leader from set 1, right, and then pretty much a viable deck since set 2 with the implementation of Aandroidd 17-18. This card is so bonkers, and really, it's really, really sad to see that we've had 5 additional sets of green decks since the release of Aandroidd 17 FB01, and it's still just the best green deck, right? The fact that it's the only deck that gets like consistent ramp at this consistency, right? This card is incredibly searchable. It's a 10k combo in hand, and the fact that you get to ramp for 1 and establish a 20k in archetype just means that there's not really a reason to play any other green deck that ramps, because this just does it better and more consistently, right? So we've been seeing like green have like some ways to be a deck about energy manipulation without ramping, right? We saw FB05 Goku, which did get like a couple tops. We also have FB06 Goku, which is arguably stronger than the FB05 Goku, but the fact that, this deck can still just play out our new 9-drop Broly by naturally ramping to it, and then gets the effect of like, oh, well, I get to heal 1, I get to be a 55k double strike. This is like a great card, and sometimes this Aandroidd 17 gets to use it more effectively because we just get to 9 energy, which is insane, I think. So because of that, I think that Aandroidd 17 is like never going to be completely out of the game because of just how good the ramp is and how much you're rewarded right now with how you can ramp up to some big boys. So, but this build specifically, I do think is pretty unique. It's a really 1-drop Earthling-centric build, right? We do have the Bulmas here. We also do have the Master Roshi, the Aandroidd 17, which is on an Earthling, but the also this blocker, which I have never seen sleeved up. So this is just already an accomplishment to see this card sleeved up and in a top 4 placing deck at a regional level event. But the reason I think we're playing this card is it's a 1-drop 10k. It's an Earthling, which means that we can use that to get it back with Hercule. There honestly aren't that many 1-drop 10k Earthlings outside of just like the Bulma. So just being have another target for that. The fact that it doesn't get blown up by Broly is really funny because it doesn't hit 1-drops, which is interesting for that. But then also we are using the 3-drop Cell as one of our ramp cards as well, which I've always liked this promo. I think it's really unique. So choose up to 1 battle card with Earthling and special trait and a cost of 4 or less and add it to your energy in rest mode. So it just means that on 3, like let's say you played out like a couple of these 1-drops and your opponent wasn't able to answer them, you're able to go from 3 to 4, which means on the next turn you can go from 5 to 6 with an activation of Aandroidd 17. So a good amount of ramp cards, right? We are running like a 56 card deck, which is really unique. But I do think that's it's helpful for a more consistent ramp as well. So we are also playing the Lab. We are also playing the I-Beam, which I think this card's been getting a little bit more value. The fact that it's an Android card just means you can put it into your energy and you can help it with the 17-18 stuff. But Also, the fact that you're able to use this to get rid of 2 1-drops, which is really impactful for like the FB03 Goku matchup, and I think many others too. But I think this card's been, which I would say like this looks like a very generic card, has been getting some value there too. So other than that, you guys kind of know how Aandroidd 17 works. So this is the build from randoms here, but I also did want to go over the build from BarkForNami's, which I would say is a more traditional build of Aandroidd 17 based off of what we've been seeing previously, right? Just running as many of our Androids earlier, being able to just be really consistent with our 17, 18, and the fact that we are just trying to get to our 8-drop, 9-drop rollies at the end game. So I think all of that's pretty understood for how the deck works. So other than that, I do think the Sun Gohan Youth has been getting some more value lately. The fact that you can use this to KO anything as long as you have 2 or less life. The fact that it's also Self-Awakener, which sometimes you need that if you are already at 6 energy and you're not awakened yet, so that can be very good. I do like the addition of also the Son Goku. When I was finishing FB05, my favorite deck was the quote-unquote shotgun build of Aandroidd 17. Being able to use Son Goku just very aggressively. The fact that this can be like a 3-cost 45k double strike, which is just unheard of in this game. And then being able to boost it up with copies of like Instant Kamehameha or Earth Destroying Blow means a lot of decks just couldn't really answer that very effectively. So in general, I think Aandroidd 17 is still really good. I think the Broly BR has been a great secret rare add for the deck. And I don't think it's going anywhere. As long as 17, 18, as long as this card exists, I don't think this deck is going anywhere. So we'll see if that's true or not, but there it is. Next up, we've got our 2 kind of, I'd say, less standard decks, right? Or at least less established decks. So we've got the Vegeta Mini Daima, which I know a lot of people are on this, right? And this deck was like officially pushed in the fact that we did have this Vegeta Mini Daima, which this card is just cracked. Being able to use this card to be able to get removal on the turn that is played, and if your opponent doesn't answer it, you get to another removal. And the fact that it's a 4-drop 30k with 5k combo, it's just like an incredibly usable card, right? So we have this card, and then we also have the Vegeta Mini Daima from FB06 too. The fact that this lets you draw 3 cards, and it also lets you reduce the cost of something by 5, which in conjunction with your leader effect, just means that you're able to get rid of a 6 or less, which is most cards in the game. Most decks don't run more than that, outside of like maybe green, right? This just hits every card in the game, which is very, very, very strong. So just these cards too existing are just saying like, please play Vegeta Mini Daima. You will get rewarded for it, and I think a lot of people have. So we did have a big event in Japan earlier this month, and Vegeta Mini Daima did win that event, so I know a lot of people are on it. I am still very surprised that it is tied with the most used leader in the top 16, but I do know like there are a lot of people testing it and doing just well with it. So some additional stuff. One, I think that if you guys really want to play this deck, you can find out the other decks on my website if you want to check them out, because there are just a lot of different builds. But this one in particular did have like a special amount of 1-drop hate. This is also a 60-card deck, which I don't think is too outrageous because we do get a lot of card draw in this deck in particular. The fact that we also just have like the draw 3. The draw 3 is eventually kind of catch up with you, which I think is strong, but we do have 1-drop hate with the Zamasu. We've got Pilaf, we've got My Future, we've got Duran. Just being able to, just really, really great at just removing a bunch of 1-drops, which I think is really present in a lot of decks right now. We've got our Draw Earthlings. We do have the Zamasu, which I've been trying this card out a little bit more. I do kind of like it. It can't be removed from the battle area by your opponent's skills. So unless you're playing against red, which you saw that there's no red cards in the top 16 of this format. This can just be really obnoxious and really great for helping us cycle our hand because we do have to run a lot of non-combo cards, including this Videl, which is very strong still. We do have Beerus, which I've seen a lot of people just add this. The fact that this does let you get some tempo advantage is really good. KO one of your other battle cards, choose one of your opponent's battle cards, return it to its owner's hand. So we're going to have a bunch of 1-drops on our board, or it's very easy to play a 1-drop. So this being able to get some removal and be a 10k, I think, again, a lot of people have been experimenting with this. This Vegito is just great, specifically with this leader too, because we can get rid of 2 costs for the cost of 1 as long as it's out and has its effect activated. I know kind of on the inverse, this card's been used since it does work with the leader, but being able to reduce something by 2 when attacking, the fact that you also get some protection by increasing the cost of your own cards, I think is strong as well. We talked about this card, we talked about this card, and then we've talked about this card in other decks too, but this deck does still get to take advantage of it because we are playing Final Hope Slash, the Gallic Gun, and Absolute Lightning. It costs a lot of energy, right? It's 8 energy for the turn, but being able to just bottom deck 2 cards can be very good if your opponent's not expecting it. So generally speaking, I think this deck is really good. It grinds out some games, but it has like a different play style than kind of other blue decks in some ways. And big congratulations to Danny for their finish with Vegeta Mini Daima. So lastly, we've got one more Vegeta. It is the yellow Vegeta. This is Mr. Kim's build of the deck. And this is definitely a deck that got a lot of support. And I've said this before, and I don't want to reduce it, but like this card is just what the deck was needing, right? It's been needing it since release almost a year ago, right? The fact that this is just an activate battle that lets you draw a card pretty consistently, right? Like it's not Gallic Gun, but it is generally just as consistent as Gallic Gun drawing, if not a little bit, because your opponent's almost always going to have a 3-drop rested. It doesn't have to be on your board, right? It could be on either board. And the fact that this card can just be used to get that additional draw is so good. The fact that, when we get to untap 2 energy at the end of each of our turns, right? So we have a lot of ways to be obnoxious, right? We have a lot of draw cards. We have like the Bulma, which can let us get back copies of the results of training. We do also have like the Majin Buu, which lets us just be like, defensively very good. Like just we get value off. This is going to be a 3-cost card rested with barrier, which means we'll always have like a results of training card. I am really surprised we don't have any copies of the Secret Rare Vegeta Frieza. And that could be a deck error from me. I did input all these on the road, so it might have been a little bit less accurate than usual, but I would expect that card to be in this deck. So, but it doesn't look like it is, which is, I think, is a little bit surprising. But we are running also like the Vegeta Mini Daima from FS08. So activate main, choose up to one of your rest battle cards, one of your opponent's rest battle cards would cost 4 less than your opponent's battle area and KO it, then switch this card to active. So just the fact that this can be a 30k twice is really great. I kind of looked into it. Yellow doesn't really have a generic, double strike, right? We've got like the Frieza from Star Deck 1, or Star Deck 4, whatever one it came out of, right? Which is double striking as like a 1 Frieza effect. We also do have like Majin Buu Evil, right? Which is only really good if you are playing the archetype, which we're not. So without it, we do have to kind of just single strike our way down. But this deck does have like a lot of ways to boost our cards both aggressively and defensively. We are topping out with the 1 copy of 6-drop Secret Rare Frieza at the top end, but this is honestly like a little bit more of like a leaner build of this deck, right? Just obnoxiously getting a lot of value, being able to interact with your opponent, but we're not really playing any big bombs, which I thought was really interesting for this deck too. So I don't have much more to say, but this is the build here from Mr. Kim, and congratulations for their finish with Yellow Vegeta. But that's going to be it for this one. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Again, if you guys want to see any of these deck lists, you can find them on my website. You can check out the live stream link in the description as well as on the website. And I'm curious to see how this meta kind of continues to develop as well. So that's going to be it for me. Thank you for watching. Catch you all next time.